Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel if you're enjoying the instruction that I'm giving you. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about my struggles with performance anxiety. So I asked you guys over on my Instagram. If you don't follow me, you definitely should. It's at Suzuki Violin Teacher. If you would be interested in seeing a video where I talk a little bit more in depth about my struggles with performance anxiety, and you all said yes, it was like 100% yes. So that's what I am doing. So I've struggled with performance anxiety ever since I can remember. I started playing violin when I was 7, and I had one of my first performances, I think, when I was 8. And I was playing Minuet 1. It's funny because this memory, I had like totally blocked it out, and it only came back to me like probably not even a year ago when I was thinking about my struggles with performance anxiety, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was a really traumatic moment. But basically, I was performing the piece, and when it was my turn, I got really scared, and I started crying, and I wouldn't go up on stage, and so they skipped me, and then they eventually came back to me, and then I finally went on stage even though I was like crying and super scared, and I played, but then I had a big memory slip, and it was just a very traumatic experience, okay? So performing has never been my strong suit, let's say that, from, the beginning. So I think it's easy to think that professional musicians never struggle with this when that is definitely not the case. I think that, obviously I can't speak for anyone else, but when your livelihood depends on how well you play an instrument, of course you're going to feel nervous and you're going to feel anxious. I think that it's just something that's kind of taboo to talk about, and people don't want others to think that they're scared or nervous, but I think it's only natural. And yeah, so that's where my performance anxiety started. After that, I really didn't have too many issues with it, like through elementary and middle school. I performed a good amount. Like I performed at our Scottish festival, which was at like the Toyota Center, and like in front of thousands of people. Not a problem. I didn't care. I didn't really know what was going on probably. So I performed like in church. I performed in front of the whole school. I did concerts and recitals and whatever, played an orchestra, and everything was fine until my recital when I was a sophomore in high school. That's when I remember it coming back. I was playing the third movement of the Brook Concerto, and I wasn't nervous going into it. I was excited. I had invited like a couple friends, and I was just really excited. And then I got on stage and I started to shake. So that's what always happens to me is I shake. My bow shakes really bad, and it's really obvious and not a good feeling. So, I played and I did my best despite, the shaking, but I just remember feeling like horrible after that performance, and that really just knocked my confidence down. After that, like I started getting nervous for not everything, but like all of my solo recitals. I started getting nervous for like chair tests, and I started to notice the nerves like negatively affect how well I could play, which is never a good thing. So, this carried on until I was a senior in high school, and a couple things happened. So the first thing was, I remember getting nervous in an orchestra concert for the very first time. Up until then, orchestra concerts had just been really fun, whatever. But I remember we were playing Beethoven 9, and I was sitting second chair first violin, and the first violins had like a solo. And I remember like I was shaking during the concert, and it was obvious. Like I remember one of my friends who was sitting like second chair cello, like right across from me, saying like, oh, you were shaking, you were nervous. And like, that's never a good thing here, you know what I'm saying? And I was also, you know, auditioning for colleges. When I got to college, things honestly got a lot worse. I had a really rough like first 2 years of college. I didn't like the school that I was going to. I didn't like myself. I wasn't making good choices and I wasn't practicing. And because I wasn't practicing, I obviously felt bad about the way I played. And so I started getting more nervous for more things. So I started getting really, really nervous, even just like for chamber rehearsals, for orchestra. And it was honestly a very, very horrible feeling. It was very stressful because I had to do those things literally every single day. But honestly, that feeling made me want to practice more and to try harder and to take care of myself, right? So, you know, as I started to practice more and feel better about the way I played, then I started feeling less nervous. So, you know, the peak of it was probably around my sophomore year of college. And junior year was better, and then senior year was a lot better. Then I transferred to DePaul for my master's, and honestly, it felt like such a fresh start. First of all, I felt like more accepted into the community. One, because these people didn't really know me, and I had a blank slate to make friends, right? And two, because I had no, like, I guess, preconceived notions of how things would go. So I was able to go into orchestra and chamber groups and just play and not feel so self-conscious because I didn't know these people and because I felt better about myself. But, you know, I've talked about this before, like, being in music school definitely is very stressful. There's a lot of pressure put on you just by, you know, the things that you have to do and, you know, comparing yourselves to others and the fact that how well your quality of life directly correlates to how well you can play this instrument. So that's a very, very tough thing to, you know, get over or get through. But, you know, DePaul was better. I was able to, you know, have a better time there and complete my degree successfully. And then I started teaching full time. And, you know, one of the questions that I really commonly get is like, do you play any orchestras? Like, why don't you play any orchestras? And well, I'm never going to say never. That might be something that I feel called to do in the future. Right now, I absolutely love what I do, and I don't want to put myself back into that situation where I'm just feeling bad about myself. I'm feeling like I'm practicing so hard for like and not seeing like results or not getting what I want and feeling just bad about myself, you know? So like I said, you never say never, maybe one day in the future, but right now that's definitely not something that I feel called to do. So what I basically want you to get from this is that you are not alone. We've all felt like this and it's perfectly normal. And you know, a lot of times I think you see professionals and you're like, oh, they could never possibly feel this way. Yes, we do. And like literally think about it this way. My livelihood depends on this. Okay? And of course I'm gonna feel nervous. Of course I'm gonna feel that anxiety. And yeah, so just understand that yes, I have felt it and I've definitely struggled with it. But I'm glad that I've been able to find something that still allows me to play my art, to play my music, and to help others without that added like stress and anxiety. So that was a little bit about my journey with performance anxiety. Again, please know that you're not alone, and doesn't mean that you are a bad person, a bad player, any of that. It's a natural response, and we all just deal with it in the best way we can. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments, definitely drop them down below. But no hate, please, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.